We got the wholesome one here. You know what that means. Get on in to the live chat. Leave your comments and questions. We're going to talk up Miami football for a full hour here at the Voice of College Football. So let's get it. Wholesome one, how's it going tonight?
What's up, Mark? What's up, man? Hope everybody's okay, man. We missed last week, and I missed the slot. I was hurting, so now I'm happy to be back here and be able to talk amongst you all, man. It's nothing like being here. It's nothing like having this opportunity, and I missed it. So really, really happy to be back.
Well, nobody out there blamed the wholesome one. I was traveling on Thursday night, so I had to cancel, and we just couldn't find another window of time. So that's on me. But Mom had her 92nd birthday celebration last weekend. So we headed on out to Ohio to celebrate for the weekend. Took my two kids out there and had a good time.
That's a blessing. That is a true blessing. That's a long time, man. It's a long,
yes,
long time.
Yes, it is. And she's doing well. All right, wholesome one. Charlie Strong. Man, you're talking about a guy, and I know it didn't end well at Texas, and that's the last thing that people remember of him, even though he's had NFL gigs. He was the South Florida head coach, had a 10-2 season there. They finished in the top 25 since then. People look at the Texas tenure. But, man, he took Louisville to 2 consecutive 11-win seasons. And there's never been any question about the guy's ability to scheme up a defense, develop players on that side of the ball, and to have him as a position coach. And his recruiting ties are phenomenal. Wow.
Mark, you're kind of hitting it out of the park. That has been the main thing that a lot of us have been attached to this search. And, for the last, I would say maybe 5 of the 9 weeks that 11 weeks that Coach Cristobal has been our head coach, there's been a lot of negativity added. And where's his staff? And who's the OC? And who's the DC? And y'all don't have no OC. And it was a lot of negativity added to it. And now a lot of us were trying to be just patient. And it got to the point where all of us were like, okay, we need some answers here. It's starting to get to that point. Spring ball's 2 weeks away. We don't know our coordinators. And it all started to piece together at the right moment. It all started to piece together, and it is still piecing together. It is still not 100% official, with cornerback and tight end and special teams still being positions that have not been filled yet officially by Coach Cristobal and the University of Miami athletic department. So when it came to Coach Charlie Strong, man, for years I thought of him as a great hire as defensive coordinator, even though we went back in 2007 and hired Coach Randy Shannon. I felt like if we would have went with Coach Charlie Strong, now again, this is complete hindsight. At that, I was 11 years old when this happened. But in hindsight, you're talking about Coach Charlie Strong, who was coming off of a national championship win when he was defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators. So, just thinking logistically back then how smart that would have been if we're going to go with a brother, if we're going to have the first minority hire and coach in school history, would have been, in my opinion. But you also think back to Coach Randy Shannon at that time. He was thought of to be one of those elite defensive minds, a national championship defensive coordinator, and things of that nature. So that's neither here nor there, but that's just pulling in how far back, I thought highly of Coach Charlie Strong. Then he wins another national championship in 2008 with Florida. He finally goes off on his own with Louisville, because Coach Urban Meyer and he go way back to days at Notre Dame together. And you talk about how a mind like that, an offensive mind, a quarterback mind like that, and Urban Meyer trusts his defense to only a couple of select few people to coach and coordinate that defensive side of the ball. And Charlie Strong was that for more than one stop in his career, to the point where he brought him with him to the National Football League to be his linebackers coach. So you're talking about somebody that gets the game. Now, if you want to talk about his head coaching prowess and games that he's lost and things of that nature, we really don't have to worry about that, because he's just going to be coaching linebackers with him and Coach Kevin Steele. So that's something he knows that we all know he can do. Brandon Spikes comes to mind, the Florida Gator, recruited and landed, and first round draft pick. He also has some real nice first round draft picks out of Louisville um, in his time there. So also locally, he's been a very good recruiter, especially Central Florida, a place that Miami needs to be able to dig their fingers into to be able to grab prospects. He's very well known in the Central Florida area, which is why when he took the USF job, it worked out well as far as relationship wise, recruiting wise, because he was very familiar with those high school coaches in the Central Florida area and the Northern Florida area. Um, I guess I can go on and on and on about the good things I can say about Coach Charlie Strong, and I'll finish out with this. All of what I just said, and he's just our linebackers coach. He ain't the DC, he ain't our head coach, and he'll be qualified to be defense coordinator, in my opinion. And that's why they added that co-defense coordinator. So it's going to be him and Coach Kevin Steele working together and building game plans together. But there were years where maybe not the highest level of qualified people were putting our game plans together. Now we have national championship worthy, decade knowledge of defense worthy coaches putting our defensive game plan together.
And considering his experience, you wonder if they're going to lean on him a little bit more than a typical linebackers coach. Plus, at the same time, this has arguably been the worst position on the team since that Shaq Quarterman trio moved on. So the last couple seasons.
Mm-hmm. It's been bad. It's been under-recruited. It's also been underdeveloped. And just there also has to be, we got to have that understanding, guys. When we talk about these current coaches, I want to say this because a lot of people want to take this and run with it in a different direction. The reason why a lot of us are excited about what's happening is not to downplay or disrespect the previous coaches who were here at the University of Miami. It's about the excitement of the growth of the level of coach. Let's say, for example, we were already getting level 3 coaching. Let's say 3 out of 5. And those people are trying. Okay, we're not saying that they're completely suck and they're worthless and they don't need a job and kick them out. We're not saying that. The reason why, and I'm gonna say me, the reason why I have been so harsh and rough on the coaches that we bring in is because this logo isn't the Kansas K. This isn't the FAU Owl logo. Okay, this isn't the University of San Diego logo. Okay, now we're not winning national championships, but that's how you get there, is you go get the vital teachers and coaches to build the program to get there again. So my issue has never been with a Jonathan Packey. My issue directly has never been with an Efren Banda. My issue and the reason why I've always been critical is why are those people getting their first chances at a prestigious institution like the University of Miami and on a very important job like the 10 assistant coach job at the University of Miami? This is the kind of staffs you're supposed to be putting together here. Okay. And that's the reason why I get fired up, or it seems as though I'm downplaying or down talking, because it didn't, in my opinion, feel as though we were swinging for the fences or that we had the quality program to attract the right level coaches to what this is supposed to look like and supposed to play like. And the reason why I say that is because if Kevin Steele and Charlie Strong are coaching, let's say, a Mike Pinckney, who is pretty solid but limited, they would know what to call and what not to call to make sure we don't put him in a bad situation. So he doesn't look bad. So we don't look bad. So this team doesn't look bad. But it takes a certain level of coach, certain level of experience to know, and man, we can't have him banging on tight ends. Coach, he's aggressive. Come on, man. That's the ACC coach. No. He's 5'11". He's 232. He's limited in his dynamic range and change in twitch fibers. Why would we have him lined up over there? Okay. Let's have him split the difference, give him a little bit of space so that if he does get shook on the top of a route, he has enough to where he can kind of slam down on a curl. But as opposed to him being too close to a tight end and they give him a little fender and he goes flying and there's nobody there. Just those little things. or how to properly put a game plan together. As far as this is what I see they do, this is their plan A. Once we stop plan A, this is what they're going to do with plan B. And here's what they're going to come with plan C. But all that comes with the quality experience. And that's something that you can't cheat your way up. 30 years of defensive coaching experience is defensive coaching, 30 years of defense coaching experience. Okay. At the Division I, Power 5 level, at multiple different levels, like Coach Kevin Steele. Or 20 plus years of defensive coordinating since I was in my diapers with a guy like Charlie Strong, with a coach like Charlie Strong. So I'm not smelling myself. I'm not over exuberant. I'm just finally excited because now we don't have to come on and say, oh man, listen, Mark, I'm telling you, this guy, he's young, but he's going to be great. Nope. Mark, we don't have to Google the people. We don't have to try to figure out who these people are. These 11 going on with 10 assistant coaches all have resumes. They all have history, and they all are going to be able to impact these young men to the level that they need to be to help rise some of them up. So I had to say that, Mark, because it was getting to a point where, you know, I'm not a hater. Most of us in the media are not truly haters. We don't hate these people. We don't hate these players. We're critical, number one, because it's the job. But number two, because we see what this University of Miami has been. We see what the program can be. And we knew for the longest that it wasn't that. And it hurts. And until we go out there and prove it, this best staff in the ACC is just on a piece of paper. But it's very experienced. And it has a very good knowledge. Now we got to see it come mesh together. We have to see it on the football field as far as wins and losses. But practice habits, little things like leverage and hand placement and quality of effort, those kind of things, we won't have to worry about much anymore. And if the young man can't get it done, we'll find someone that does while we still teach that young man, as opposed to just throw them out there because they're the best we have, or just kick them out and say, hit the portal. Nah, we don't have guys like that on this staff who think that way anymore. And I get fired up about that. So I just had to answer that.
I mention this every so often just because every once in a while get a comment. So I've got my laptop right here. I am listening to the Wholesome One every word. I am just either looking up stats for the next question or whatever players we're talking about, that sort of thing. In this case, since we don't have any comments or questions on the live chat or any, anything that we need to bring into the conversation, I'm just scouring the channel for comments that have been made to the channel in the videos that we posted over the last weeks to see if there's any topics we want to hit on. So I'm fully engaged, everyone. Every so often I'll get a comment because people think like I'm checked out or something. No, I'm fully involved in the conversation. I'm just trying to supplement the talk here. Wholesome One, it would be fascinating. And I'm a novice. I'm just a football guy that enjoys the sport, has watched it my whole life, only played it to a certain level. You would be able to appreciate this so much more than I would, but I would still love to see a Charlie Strong in spring practice and in August camp working with the linebackers. That would be fascinating to watch, to be right there and watch it.
Yeah, there's a picture floating around, and a lot of us, we're so jaded, man. We're like, no, this is Photoshopped. And supposedly he was already at practice today and conditioning today. And it's Wesley Basaint, big time 4-star linebacker recruit out of Miami Central, is running through drills, and Coach Strong is standing there pointing at him and firing him up. And we're like, this is crazy. A couple of years ago, he would have been a great head coach candidate. Even as soon as last year, he would have been a great defense coordinator candidate. And he's just our linebackers coach. Wow. It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. And like I say, not necessarily that these people previously couldn't get the best out of our players. It just started to get to a point, Mark, where, these resumes. And I talk about it like this because you look at and you say, we want to be a playoff team. We want to be a championship program. Well, there's only about 8 of those every year in conversation. 8. I say 8, which is why I don't think the playoffs should expand more than that. But that's neither here nor there. It's about 8. And maybe you go to 10 if you want to add just a championship, conference level championship program, because you need 2 of those to to play each other. So I get that. But you look at those staffs and you wonder why, Miami wasn't really having people get hired from their staffs. And Coach Efren Banda was the first one hired from and got a promotion, went on to be a defensive coordinator. Our DCs were going down to be position coaches. Our OCs are going down to just be position coaches as opposed to getting levels up. And now you look around college ball and you understand yes, you want to build an all-star team, just like people say about NBA. You want to build an all-star team on the football field. But more importantly, you build an all-star team off the football field with your strength and conditioning staffs, with your assistant coach staffs, with your nutrition staffs, with your academic advisor staffs, with your NIL deal staffs. Like you're starting to talk about a 50 and 60 person hub of people who interact with your players on a day-to-day that excludes the head coach and his direct assistants. So you have to invest in all those other avenues to even be on par. Okay. And I hadn't seen that from Miami. I hadn't. And he as in Coach Cristobal, comes from the Nick Saban tree, where you look at some of his staffs, future national championship coaches on there, future big-time head coaches on there. 2015 staff had Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin, Miami/Oregon at the time when the picture came out, head coach Mario Cristobal. You also had Kirby Smart, head coach of Georgia. And you also had Florida's new head coach was on that staff as the wide receivers coach. Mel Tucker was just DBs. Coach Cristobal was head of recruiting and O-line. Offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach was Lane Kiffin. Like, if you want to aspire to be on the same field as people like that and actually be able to compete, you need those kind of level minds in their teaching. And again, I'm not saying Miami's a national championship. I'm not saying we're going to the ship. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to get you all to get and grasp where I'm coming from, man, because it's starting to feel like it, and I'm just excited.
2 things come to mind. One is when you talk about being excited about the current coaching staff not being a direct disrespect to any previous coaches, it's like this. I'll go through this process in the next couple of months. I'll rank the coaches in each conference. So I'll take all 14 head coaches in the ACC and I'll go through my criteria and I'll rank them. That doesn't mean somebody's got to be ranked 14th. Somebody's got to be 13. Somebody's got to be 12. And then, of course, there'll be comments that have come in. And I don't mind the comments questioning my rankings. I mind the comments that assume that even if I clearly state that maybe I believe all these coaches are capable coaches, but somebody's got to be ranked 14th and somebody's got to be 13th, that I'm a hater. And it's the same thing here. Anytime there's just different levels to the profession. That's all there is to it. Pat Narduzzi, I'm just going to throw out one name. That guy's a really good head coach at the University of Pittsburgh. But if they had the opportunity to hire Nick Saban, well, then that would be a significant upgrade. But Pat Narduzzi, that doesn't mean he's a bad coach, because he's not. He's really good. So there has just been an obvious upgrade to the coaching staff. It's just, again, it's just obvious. The other thing that comes to mind, and man, I would love to be able to find this on YouTube. It's in NFL Films that you may have run across at some point. But as soon as you were talking about the great coaching staff at Alabama 5 or 6 years ago. There's an NFL Films where they have the last Cleveland Browns staff under Bill Belichick. Have you seen
It
this?
is mind blowing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I was a big NFL guy before I became a college football guy. So that was
love
on
the
NFL
NFL.
Network for years. Yeah.
Love the old NFL stuff. So yeah, there's this documentary that's just phenomenal. So the wholesome one knows what I'm talking about. But if you can find it, and especially if you love the insight into coaching, and I don't know if the NFL film is just part of it, they got a little bit lucky because at the same time that this historic coaching staff was together, the city of Cleveland was losing its franchise. And that was a historic move that happened kind of in the middle of the night where people were completely taken off guard. But anyway, back to the coaching. They have all this film from these meetings and in practice, and it's fascinating to listen to these guys talk when you're talking Bill Belichick's the head coach, Nick Saban's an assistant, Jim Caldwell, who is later the Detroit Lions head coach, is an assistant, Kirk Ferentz, the current Iowa coach, is an assistant. I'm forgetting a couple other guys, but it's phenomenal.
It's history, it runs deep. It runs deep, man. And that's the other beautiful thing about what we're experiencing with Coach Cristobal is that he comes from two very, very well flourishing trees. In the Butch Davis tree, originally as a grad assistant under Butch Davis in the late 90s for Miami. Once he got back here, I think in 95 is when he started here at Miami, whether it be in a quality control or a grad assistant position. Then also under Coach Saban. So, I mean, we don't just give all credit to Coach Saban. Let's not forget he played for some very good coaches, and he coached under, at his time wearing the orange and green, and some great coaching fraternities. So it's a beautiful thing. You could tell by the way he carries himself. Today, Mark, I went and listened to his last presser after the debacle versus Utah in the Pac-12 championship. And because when it came out, you could tell the kind of man we were dealing with. Yes, there was talks and things like that, but he was very open and honest. But he was, let's be respectful of the University of Oregon. Let's be respectful of all parties involved. There's no answers here. He was just, even in the mix of just getting his ass kicked, and these people are throwing questions at him about him leaving for Miami, he still was very respectful. And that stuck out to me because adversity, when it comes, it reveals character, not creates character. And so you're watching him really struggle with wanting to kind of say other things, but he keeps it monotone. He very relaxed, even though he wants to get fired up. And to me, that's the kind of coach we need right now. We need a coach that whatever the situation dictates, he can bring the proper energy towards it and correct it and move forward. Okay. Whether it be celebration time, he can come dance with you and have a good time with you. If it's time to get stuff in order, he can do that. If it's time for you to be chewed out, he can do that also. But he does it with respect, and he does it in a way that people can trust their son to him, and that means a lot to me because I've been bamming this door for a while for Coach Cristobal, and to see it happen and to see some of the reasons pop up, it's just positive, man. I really love it. I really love to see it. And I'm happy for the young man.
Demetrius and others, thank you so much for encouraging people to hit the like button. So just to give people an idea here, we've got a little over 100 on the line, but we've had over like 250 people watch part of the stream, and we've got however many likes we have. So it's always a tiny number compared to how many people have been watching. So please hit the like button. It takes a split second to at least do that. And we would ask that you subscribe to the channel. We also ask that you head on over to the Wholesome One's channel, Wholesome One Holloway, right here on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel and check out his recent content. So zero technique is what Anthony's asking about in regards to a straight up classic nose tackle. Wholesome One, do we have any traditional zero techniques in terms of the tackles that we've signed the past couple years?
The only true zero I think we have is Jordan Miller. I think Alan Hay could do it, but I wouldn't want to do that to him. I don't necessarily. Alan Hay was a 3-star defensive tackle we signed last recruiting class out of Chaminade. Um, I don't necessarily think that we should put him in that situation. But to me, if you want to ask who, if there's one on the roster right now, I would say Jordan Miller. 6'4", 325, 330-pound dude, completely reshaped his body, completely. When he signed, he was 6'4", 330, but it was completely different. It was a high body fat percentage. Now he spent the last couple of seasons revamping that body, getting that body fat percentage down, but getting your muscle mass up. And definitely shout out to Jordan Miller, man. I I truly appreciate that because we've all had things we struggle with as big dudes, especially post ball. Some of us get real skinny, some of us blow up, because you're not working out as much. And to see a young man come in and give that effort, I love it. Now, whether he goes on to be some big time NFL guy, we'll see what Coach Salavea can pull out of him. But for me, as far as what he's shown um, here in Miami, I really appreciate Jordan Miller.
John, I appreciate the question, wanting me to compare the Florida State and Miami coaching staffs. So we'll keep this in mind that I'm trying to track everyone. So I do not. So the Miami coaching staff, pretty much top to bottom, and I know that there's still a couple hires out there, at least one for sure, that they need to make. Is at the forefront of my mind. I can pretty much run down the Miami staff. The Florida State staff, I know the two coordinators. If I looked at a coaching staff lineup, I would know the other guys. So I'll say this, that I would have to go through the resumes to make a real legitimate, knowledgeable, informed response. But the Florida State offensive coordinator right now, Alex Atkins, is basically going to be kind of in, I don't want to diminish his contribution, but it's pretty well known that Mike Norvell's an offensive guy, and Adkins has limited experience. He's pretty much interning to a certain extent as an offensive coordinator right now. They are grooming him and bringing him into the role, so he's not really a full-time certified. You've got the reins, you've got the offensive coordinator. So just that in and of itself is far behind what Miami has in Josh Gaddis, who is the Broyles Award winner, and in Kevin Steele, who's one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And Charlie Strong is a linebackers coach who, again, as the Wholesome One outlined in his heyday, was arguably the best defensive coordinator in the country himself. So there's not a huge comparison that can be made. All right, Anthony, we got Wholesome One. Can you see the possibility of Mario bringing in an analyst for the tight end position like Greg Olson, Jimmy Graham, or Tony Gonzalez onto the staff?
Not a bad idea. And the reason why I think he's going in this direction, Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why I think he's going in that direction is because we're starting to fill up these positions as head coaches, the 10 assistant positions. And the two that is still in question is cornerback, whether we're going to have Coach Adai coach safeties and corners. And the second one is also tight end. And then there's a rando third, where I'm choosing not to feed into the rumor, even though the question's already in here, because of how much I love this guy as a player. And I'm not even a Dolphin fan, but I love the way he played. You can infer what I mean by that, by what I just said. With the edge position, as far as having Coach Joe Salavea coach the interior, your 2-eye technique and your 3 technique, and having another coach your 2-5 techniques and your blitzing linebackers, which is an edge coach position. Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing that because you only get 10 assistants. So that means 2 of them has to be on there. And then the other ones would either be defensive analysts, offensive analysts, quality control positions, or grad assistant positions, or they move over to head of recruiting, but they can still help coach, like walk through drills and things of that nature. Like I look at Coach Pop Cooney, who was our head of recruiting under the previous regime, who also wanted to put his hat in at wide receiver. Well, if you were to watch some of the practices last year, you would see Coach Cooney out there helping coach wide receivers to a certain extent. Again, like he's not leading the actual drill, but he's standing there with the pads on, and he's holding the pad, and they run into it and they push it, and he's giving little pointers and things of that nature. So there's that. I wouldn't put anything past Coach Cristobal right now. I don't know about Tony Gonzalez. I don't know if he wants to get into coaching. I know Greg Olson has definitely spoken about his love for giving back to the game and giving back to his community through coaching. But he's spoken more of like a head coaching role as a CEO, and then having other people around him. And did you say Jimmy Graham was the other one? Was that one of the other ones he said?
It was Jimmy Graham.
I don't know if he's spoken openly about wanting to coach. So out of those three, there's only one that I know has spoken about wanting to coach, but he's getting into TV, where all he has to do is just research the two teams on the field and get used to his wittiness and try not to curse on national TV. He should be just fine. So again, a great idea. I understand where you're going with it, Anthony, as far as just trying to brainstorm and figure out what we're going to do with these 10 assistant positions and fill some other stuff. So I'm with you on that one.
Jimmy Graham was just playing in the NFL like last month. Did he retire?
I don't think so. I believe he wants us to keep playing. He's a free agent, so he's going to be able to pick where he wants to go. But
yeah,
I just want to make sure I answer this question correctly.
Few things here, folks. Keep in mind, just like what happened last week when I was out of town, basically the Wholesome One and myself, we are so tightly scheduled that we fit this in on Thursday. We are dedicated to this, and hell or high water, something's got to happen with one of our schedules for us not to make it. But when we can't make it here, we try like hell to try to fit it in somewhere else. And a lot of times we can't, because that's how tightly scheduled we both are. So we need to appreciate that we get the Wholesome One here for an hour plus every Thursday night. And so just keep in mind the Super Chat's available because the Wholesome One's got a lot going on, a lot on his plate. He's got his own YouTube channel in addition to his own studies, coaching, work, job, all this. It's just stacked up. And he gives us over an hour here. And then you can imagine, folks, that in addition to the hour that he gives us, just in terms of us communicating, making sure we're on the same page. And, it's probably an hour and a half plus a dedicated time that he gives us every week. So just consider that when you see that the Super Chat's available. And also keep in mind, I do 9 of these a week. So by the time you set up and all that other business, that's probably, 12 or 13 hours just in live streams. That doesn't even count my call-in shows and then producing all the content for 25 channels. So we're not patting ourselves on the back here or whining or crying, just giving you a little bit of a reality check. So please consider the Super Chat. And Wholesome One, you know me, we're always striking up something new here at the Voice of College Football. So on Tuesday, we just started a Discord, if you're familiar with what that is. So we got it's like a chat room.
Texting app chat room. Okay, yeah.
It's like a chat room. So folks, go to Patreon and sign up there. You go to Patreon, MarkRogersTV, and you can join our Discord, and you can talk Canes football all you want on there. We've already got about 15 or 20 people signed up, and I'm in there every day, and you can talk college football with me. And for you non-Miami fans, it's all college football, obviously. So head on in there. Go to Patreon, MarkRogersTV, and get on over to the Wholesome Ones channel and hit the like button on all those videos and binge watch, because it's great stuff, and subscribe over there. And again, the Super Chat's available.
And I tell you what, for those of you all who are wondering some of the players that are going to be returning, I did 36. I said it's 36 highlight tapes for returning players and what they bring to the table. So if you want to take some time, whether it be Tyler Van Dyke, 5-star James Williams, Leonard Taylor, Will Mallory, any of the freshmen, if there's anyone that you're questioning, hey, what happened to this guy? You can go ahead and check out in the H1H official highlight tape. I finally finished all of them. Took about 2.5, almost 3 months worth of filming and editing and releasing. So it's been a positive, beautiful thing. I mean, almost over 50,000 new viewers due to, doing the highlight tapes. And thank you all so much. It's amazing. But hey, if you want to, it's a nice playlist on my channel, and it's grown. The first year I did 19. Last year I did 26. This year I did 36. So we're just showing appreciation and love to these young men, and they love it, man. It's always a really heartwarming feeling when I message them and say, "Hey, I put this together for you, man. Hey, thank you for what you do for the orange and green." And they're like, "Thank you." I appreciate the highlight tape, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I'm going to be producing and releasing here in the next couple months something that a lot of people have asked me for, and that's for me to rank all the all-time programs in college football, to give some kind of like top 10 list, top 15, 20 list of all the programs in the history of college football. So we're going to start working on that. So the reason I bring that up now is that I'm going to do a live stream on the main channel right after we get done here. So join us over there. I don't have a final list, but we're going to look at the AP and the coaches poll rankings all time, and we're going to start there. And I'm going to devise a system, the Wholesome One, and I'm going to release all-time program rankings at some point
Mark,
this offseason.
You know how I am. Once you start doing old time and historic, you do start throwing jabs at Miami. So listen, just look at it unbiasedly. I know you have Buckeye eyes, so just look at it unbiasedly when it comes to that orange and green logo. Love it, Mark. Just love it a little bit.
Oh man. My rankings are always neutral, unbiased.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to be completely unbiased, and that's the beautiful part of what we do.
I'm just kind of kidding when I say that. I do my very best.
It is. It's tough because we're all human, and no matter what, it's gonna throw a little bit of you into your list. That's what makes your list. But
absolutely.
If we don't have any questions, I would love for the last 20 minutes or so, I was able to run into see that, Mark?
Look at that. The whiteboard.
So instead of me having to hold it, if anybody had some questions they wanted me to draw up and break down for the last 15 or 20, wouldn't mind doing that, just to throw that out there if anybody wants to. If not, then I was just going to draw up some Kevin Steele, old Kevin Steele defenses, so people know what they're looking for.
Well, we do have a couple super chats to hit real quick, and we do have a question. So, Exploring with Ben, not even a Miami fan, but have to support the voice of college football. Good luck, Miami. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Some of you like to bypass YouTube, so keep in mind you can go to Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. This is the only thing I ask, is that you, if you're designating this for the Wholesome One's appearance, that you note that right there. And then, of course, we got our guy, Falconer X, with the super sticker. Appreciate you being here, man. So somebody back here had asked, and I apologize that I've lost track of who asked this question, but basically looking for your best take on the linebacker depth chart entering spring.
It's a tough question. Here's why I say that. I'll say at middle linebacker, you have Corey Flagg Jr., number 11. You also have Tyreek Austin Cave, number 18. Those are the two that are competing at that position. I would say at weak side linebacker, you would have Wayman Steed, number 17. You're also going to have Avery Huff. And in my opinion, you're also going to have the freshman phenom himself, Wesley Bassett. The strong side linebacker, this is where I'm kind of questioning, like I said before, because now you have to split that striker position that we had with Gilbert Frierson and Keontra Smith and guys like that who were running at striker. And now are we going to split the safety? Like, is Keontra Smith going to safety? Is Gilbert in safety? Or are they going down the backer? That's where it's still open. So I will just throw them in as strong side backer conversation or weak side, depending on how you want to communicate it. Outside linebacker. We'll say outside linebacker. Gilbert Frierson, Keontra Smith. Okay, so that's why I would say a 2 deep, in my opinion, is right now. 2 or 3 deep at each linebacker position. It's a big question. We're going to have to wonder what people are bringing to the table as far as what this 4-3 attack is going to need them, what is necessary for their talents, as far as length, as far as aggression, as far as angles of pursuit, whether they're going to be reading the triangle at middle linebacker, whether they're going to be reading just the back, all that kind of stuff. One of the biggest answers we're going to need is health. Who was all here and who all wants to be Miami Hurricanes? And I think a lot of them are going to be a little bit happier now that they have Coach Steele and Coach Strong coaching them up.
Appreciate everybody being here at the Voice of College Football. And, oh, man. We've got 904 Hurricane, who's basically saying, go subscribe to the Notre Dame channel. So I was asking for this last night, realizing I'm talking to Miami fans and asking you to subscribe to the Notre Dame channel. But we're only 50 away from 1,000. So if you can stomach it enough to subscribe to the Notre Dame channel, and then you can unsubscribe. And you can imagine, Wholesome One, the response I got from Cam when I was asking people to do that, to subscribe to the Notre Dame channel. But as soon as we get past 1,000, you can unsubscribe if you'd like, folks. But if you want us to succeed here, you can help us out by subscribing to our Notre Dame channel. We're only 50 away from 1,000.
Well, Mark, you know who I have much dismay for in my heart. I mean, I wasn't alive during that time, but those documentaries of Catholics, convicts, and some of the stuff they've said about our team and our players, keep your comments to yourself. But I am very happy about the new head coach. I think he is one hell of a defensive mind, and I want to be able to see him succeed. And wish it was a different logo, but do your thing, man. Do your thing, coach.
All right, Wholesome One. Let's cut you loose. I'll be looking out for comments and questions in the meantime, but head on over to the whiteboard. What do you want to draw up for us?
So I think a lot of people misconstrue this main thing here. All right, so let's go ahead and break it down. Let's see. Can you see me well still?
We got you.
Yeah, my camera, I left my other camera today. So, okay. So one of the main things we get a lot of people misconstrue that is that 3-4, right? Can you hear me good still, Mark?
Yep, we got you.
So we got a question here about the traditional. Do I need to come up some? Yeah, probably should come up a little bit. We should come up a little bit so that you can. Oh, there you go. All right. That traditional nose tackle, right? So what we've gotten to in this game now is that nose is a lot more athletic. So Anthony, he asked earlier about a nose guard, right? So what we want to make sure we get done here is we get a nice space eater up this front. Now, the reason why you need that space eater here is because he can demand double teams. Wherever the running back and the quarterback want to go, they have to demand a double or triple over the nose here. Okay, that's the traditional 3-4, right? But what we're seeing now and what Coach Kevin Steele is going to bring to the table, and now even Coach Charlie Strong, is more of a multiplicity out of the odd front, okay? So now you can have what we call shades, okay? So we're shading this side here. We'll get a 4-eye technique here, and we'll get an edge here, okay, on that outside contain. Now, what that brings to the table and what we have to make sure we're doing here is this Mike backer. Okay, let's say, for example, it's a read. They can come here or go here. It's up to them. Okay, and we're reading this edge rush here. What we're finding a big issue with Miami has been for the longest is once these big guys climb, they get rid of here and they climb here or they climb here. This is where we were having problems. Is that these guys back here get washed up and get caught up in the riff with the big guys up front. Because Miami traditionally don't have these guys here at 6'4", 330 pounds, at 6'3", 300. So what Coach Kevin Steele brought to the table, he did this a lot at Auburn, is I'm not going to play your game size-wise. So now let's lean into what we do well with speed, with stunts, with twists, okay? With stunts and twists. That's what people aren't getting about how great the 3-4 can be. Let's do the same read option. Let's go over the same play, that same read option off the same alignment, right? Right. Traditionally, Miami's going to get blown off the ball here. What you do to change a lot of that is you start doing stuff like this here. Okay, put my mic here, let's put my wheel here. Creep them up close to the line of scrimmage. We start doing stuff like this. So what I just did there is I slammed my edge. He's coming into the B gap. I bring my 4-out technique. He's swinging over to the A with slant going straight here. We got eyes at backside B gap. We got contain on the backside for the defensive end, right? But what we're doing here is we're going with the flow of the play on the offensive line, right? But what's going to free it up, because once they see that edge rusher slam down, the QB is going to do what, guys? Once you see the edge rusher slam down, the QB read is going to be what? Keep. Because he's going to see this guy come down. So as soon as he sees that, you coming down here, you're taking him away. The QB's going to think it's La laying up the sideline, and then he get hit right in the mouth by the middle linebacker. So we're actually dictating to the offense what to do there, okay? Now, it's just saying, like, it's something simple, okay? Something simple as far as dictating to an offense, okay? And it's the best way that a lot of coaches have gotten to the point of fixing their issue. Now, again, hopefully you all can see this. It is kind of far away. I'm trying to draw as big as I can on here for you, and I do apologize about my camera quality, but wasn't able. I'm not home, as you all can see. All right, I'll give you one more play. Now, Coach Charlie Strong, his way of coaching defense is a little different. He was running like a 3-3 stack as a 3-3-5 stack. So he would have, let's say, for example, here. Okay, so he would shade here, backside 5, front side 5. Okay, you'll see why I say backside and front side in a second here. So backside would be away from the back. Front side would be where the back is standing. Not necessarily where he's going, but where he's standing. Strength, weakness, that kind of stuff, right? So putting the mic here. Let's say, for example, if we're stacking, that means that we would have the linebackers directly behind where the linemen are. This is Coach Charlie Strong while he was at Florida. And the reason why they were so successful, okay, is because the front guys, these guys here, basically acted as complete double team consumers and allowed the linebackers to flow to wherever the play is. Okay, let's do the same. Let's go on a 24 stretch. Okay, so count it out 2, 4, 6, A, B, C. Okay, so you come here. Let's say that the play is directly to go behind your right guard. So the traditional blocking set would be this: hook block, scoop block, okay, cut off block here, cut. The double team here, and eventually we want to climb here, right? So what does that leave wide open? If the linebackers are dictating to the offense, right? He could show here and mess up the double team. Okay, he can come around here, and then if he here and now this is a zone run here, and he sees all this mesh, where's he gonna do? Come right out here. Where are the people? You got a strong side linebacker and a defensive end standing right there. If you cut back, you got pursuit. Okay, so that's where a lot of what happens here. Now, that's just them lining up. I'll take you to how aggressive this can get. Okay, again, just out of simple 10 personnel. Let's do it out of 11, just so people can see what happens when both these coaches, like Coach Kevin Steele and Coach Charlie Strong, like to do when it comes to tight ends per se. All right, so let's put a tight end over here. All right, which would make the strength of the defense to the left automatically here. So let's go with who's going to be calling plays, Coach Kevin Steele. Now, he said we're going to be a 4-3 attack defense. So what that means is he's going to have a strong side linebacker address that tight end. Your defensive end is now going to come a little bit closer to more of a 4-eye head up here because you don't want to be sitting in the gap. That's just asking to be double teamed. You got a 3 technique back here. You got a 2-eye backside, and you got a 5 here. Okay, you got a mic right there and a wheel right here. Okay, I'm gonna put the back and the tight end to the same side, so you put them over here. Okay, now what you are going to see is a whole bunch of 3 technique B gap, defensive end, 3 technique A gap, defensive end B gap. Okay, nose traditional take that double team so the wheel can slam back here. And the defensive end is going to keep contained at all times here. What you're doing here, again, is plays going here, right? But this guy stays, we're reading this side, and we're reading this defensive end. He stays home. He's going to give, right? Well, the back is going to see all of this cluster, right? Tight end is here, taking this home. Also keeping my open hand free for contain. We're up here twisting up front. So the back is going to be trying to find somewhere to go, right? Well, guess what? My white linebacker is cross-reading to this back, just sitting here shuffling, waiting on you to find somewhere to go. And the minute you cut back, you're going to run right into the wheel linebacker, hit you in the mouth. You know, that's the strength of what being aggressive at the defensive side can be. I can stand here all day long, as you guys can see. I got a muffled mouth when it comes to X's and O's. But that's just something simple as far as explaining the 3-4 under Coach Steele, explaining the 4-3, explaining the 3-3-5 stack under Coach Charlie Strong. Just a couple of things that they bring to the table as far as something simple against stretch run that we'll see. So hopefully I didn't get too far on there for you. Hopefully you guys get what I was trying to go.
It was good. Falconer X, if we can save your question for another time, Falconer X, we appreciate the super chat. I got to run and fire up this call-in show on the main channel, so head on over there. But Falconer X, keep us honest. We will catch up with your question next time around. Wholesome one,
Mark,
appreciate you being here.
Yep, no problem, man. Thank you. I don't know if my camera's still working or if I went out on you.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hey, I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for having me. Mark, thank you again for having me. And go ahead and have a great call-in show. And as always, go Canes. I don't know if you'll see it, but I'm throwing at you up.
We got it.
Right.
See everybody soon.